What is up, Internet Land? Zachamus Prime, aka Zachamus Prime, here with another Transformers third-party review, and today the figure we're reviewing is the EX-01 Nicee from BigFireBirdToys. And this figure is interesting. So first of all, I want to talk about the design. It's like I described this to my brother. This figure was designed by somebody who was really horny. Hence the extreme emphasis on her gigantic knockers and the thin waist, thick hips, freaking cooch slot down there, shapely ass. I mean, yeah, they didn't spare any expense when it came to emphasizing the femininity of this figure. And I mean, it's even right on the package. It's even right in the logo. There's boobs right there. Like, this is the least subtle figure I have ever seen. But if you can get past that fact, for some of you, I'm sure that's the reason why you're getting it, because, oh yeah, you know, you just gotta have the need to have a shapely, feminine article nearby. But for those of you who can get past that, this is actually a really good figure. And once you stop thinking about, oh, how shapely the figure is, this figure is really badass in terms of shelf presence and posability, and just the way it poses and looks. It's just really badass. It's like how when you're a kid, you get the X-Men comics because Psylocke's got like a great body and big old knockers. And then when you're an adult, you keep getting the X-Men comics because Psylocke is just kicks ass. It's like that, but in figure form. The kids are going to get this for the boobs. The adults are going to get this because this is a really good figure. But there she is from the front. There she is from the back. A little bit of a clutter up here. But honestly, as far as RC style figures go, this is really good. This is even better than Fans Toys. In fact, gosh, like the look and the feel of this figure is even better than Fans Toys. The whole thing is done in this like pearlescent metallic-y color. I'm not sure exactly how well it's coming across on the video, but like all of the white is all done in this like pearlescent white, and all of the pink is done in this beautiful like metallic pink, and it just is pervasive and really well done. And I haven't had any problems with like masking errors or whatnot. Now granted, parts like this pink part here, that's actually a separate piece, so of course there's no masking errors for that. But like this white piece, I'm pretty certain the white paint actually, I'm not sure if the white paint came first or the pink paint came first. I would argue that probably the white paint was first, because who on earth paints with white over pink? Seriously. But like there's a few places where, you know, you would have masking done, like on this panel here or on this panel here, and there's no bleed, there's a speck of something there, but you know, and on the arms, like there's just like maybe that's the tiniest amount of white overstepping its bounds on that wrist there, but like it's just so well done. And in terms of color separation, like there's a lot of, like for example on this forearm here, this piece is white, this is a paint app, the pink, but like this pink up here, that's a separate assembly. Like there's the two, you can see the seam right here Focus grasshopper. You can see the seam right here where these two pieces came together, and then there's no seam on this lower arm because this is a third piece that slid on over the top of that. These little vent details on the leg are really cool looking. The feet are a little weird, but I don't think there's really any problem with that. Once you get her positioned properly, the figure stands really, really well. Freaking robo belly button. What? Like I said, someone was all kinds of horny when they designed this figure. They designed it last year during No Nut November. But anyhow, really, really well done. She does come with quite a number of accessories. First of all, we got the shield. This is actually part of the figure. You've got this peg through here that it will plug in on the arm. You've got a spot on either arm where that can plug in. Not exactly a shield so much as maybe a buckler. It does restrict the motion of her arm, so like you can't really bend this. You can, of course, bend her arm and then plug it back on. And that's not a bad look either. But I do like to often pose her with the shield and the sword. Because sword and shield, freaking robots with swords is one of my things. I'm sure you guys have noticed this. I don't know if you have, but I know I have. Robots with swords. Robots with wings, too. I've got quite a number of figures of robots with wings. It comes with this weird-looking spear thing with like a spiral groove cut down it. Molded in this translucent green plastic. This translucent green plastic is the same translucent green found throughout the figure. There's only like a couple green paint apps which are right here on the side of the head. But like the eyes are that translucent green, the headlights are that translucent green, tail lights, windshield, and that's pretty much it for that translucent green. I didn't mention, but there is actually a fair amount of die cast, especially in the legs, and there's like moving functional pistons in the knees, which is super cool. I have been a big fan of functional pistons in robots since, gosh, I guess it was 1999 when I got my first Perfect Grade Gundam, and it had functional stuff, functional pistons all over it, and I was just like really excited. She comes with a sword. Let me get into the hands first, actually. So she comes with a pair of fists. She comes with a pair of open hands, like so. Comes with a pair of trigger hands, like so. And then she comes with a pair of hands, or one hand is this like grippy thumb, and the other hand is just kind of like a more relaxed open hand. And this grippy thumb is meant to be used with the spear or the sword, which I was about to show you. Here's the sword. This is all done in one piece of plastic. Again, that pearlescent and pink throughout. And everything on this looks good. There is, like, those paint apps are perfect. Just spot on. She will hold the sword in just like that. I mean, it's not the most reliable grip as far as holding swords go, but I mean, it fits and it works well, and it's functional and posable. So, and it's easy to go in and out, but like it holds it well enough that it's not gonna like fall out, you know, accidentally. She does come with a gun. The gun can be held in either one of these trigger fingers. The way you do that is you separate out the bottom of the gun from the top. And then it just slides in, and then you reattach it. And these hands all attach on with just like regular ball joints. They're some sort of PVC, and so they just slot in and slot out. A little bit of a Fans Toys squeak there. Of course, it's not a Fans Toys figure. It actually looks better than the Fans Toys figure. She comes with this alternate face, this whole alternate head. I'm not sure why they didn't just like make it so that you could remove the face and attach it, but no, they're like, no, we're just gonna have a whole head. And she's got this like weird like anime cat face with their tongue sticking out. It would have been nice to get a little bit of paint on that mouth. Some of that pink or maybe like red. Just to, I don't know. I'm sick and tired of figures always having, you know, the open mouth alternate faces, but never having the open mouth be painted. Yeah, it'd be nice if they did something like that. It comes with this piece here, which I will show you in just a bit. And then it also comes with this one right here. And that's an alternate chest. And I'll show you how that works, I guess. I think it's stupid as fuck, but you know what? It is a feature, and so I will show you. So you bring this up, and that allows you to get your grubby mitts. I actually haven't done this. So, I'm figuring this out for the very first time, live on camera, which is never a great idea. But you wedge something behind there, launch the titties halfway across the planet, and get your alternate pair, slot them in. Looks like there's a clip system in there. And it just clips in like so. And then you get this slotted back in place. And now she's got boobs that look exactly like the other ones. With the exception, with the notable exception of these ones are squishy. And it's like, really? Really? Like I said, somebody was super horny when they made this figure. I mean, they look exactly the same. They're the exact same sculpt, just they don't have that really nice pearlescent color to them. They're squishy. Why? I mean, don't even get me started. Really is what it comes down to. Don't even get me started, because, I mean, never mind the fact that robots don't need tits. Second of all, if they had boobs, would they be squishy? Why would they be squishy? There's no need for that. There's no functional purpose to that except nothing. There's no functional purpose to that. So, if you guys have an idea for why a robot would functionally require squishy tits, leave it in the comments, and I will be very curious to read anything you guys have to say. But anyhow, there are some other display options. I'm going to swap this out for the fist again because, yeah. There are some other display options you can do with this. You can take this assembly off, and then you can take these assemblies off. And then you can actually put this back on if you want. I'm going to put it on upside down because why not? Fits in there maybe a little bit better aesthetically. And then you can take these and you can plug them in on these little holes, these little round sockets on the that part back there. And now she can wear her car parts on her waist, and I'm just like, okay. I mean, it's a thing. It's a thing. They get in the way of her arms. They look ridiculous. they're not all that poseable because this cap doesn't allow them to move around much on that ball joint. You can, of course, rotate them a little bit. Because this cap is cylindrical, they won't rotate much. They will just tend to fall out. But, yeah, so that's the thing you can do. And then another thing, this is going back to, whoops, stay. Going back to this little accessory here, you can take that, plug that in right like so. Plug these back into their homes. And then what you can do is you can take off ye old hand. You can use a trigger hand or the thumb holding hand if you want. And you slot this in so the back of the hand goes toward here. Like you can't really put it in this way. You got to put it in this way. And then we flip that up. And then you can slot the arm in through that little bracket. And then you can move this bracket to like kind of brace against the arm to kind of give it a little bit of extra rigidity. And now she's got like a bow thing, except that it doesn't look very good and it doesn't work very good. And you've got an arrow. I guess I probably should have used the left-hand trigger because you kind of can use the arrow with the spear with this one, but you know, well, we'll throw this one in, I guess. And then we can go like so, and I mean, unfortunately, because of the way that this is designed, there's no easy way to sell this pose. And I don't think it really looks all that great. It doesn't make hardly any sense. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's another part of this figure that I'm just like, okay, sure. I mean, why not? Let's just go crazy and just throw whatever we want in there. So that's what that's all about, I guess. But anyhow, so that's the features of this figure. So let me put this back on. Let me put this back on, not like an idiot. Boom. All right. And let's get into articulation for this figure. Oh, I forgot to mention how you change the head out. So you pull the head off and you put the new one on. It just attaches on with a D-shaped peg so that it's got a proper front. And yeah. So there's a peg in here that it attaches onto, and that's on a hinge. So head moves, oops, let's focus on her head, not my arm. Head moves up and down a bit, and then there's like a ball joint down at the base of her neck, so she can get some giggity, giggity, giggity. And you know, a little bit of tilt side to side, of course, full rotation. These wings here are on ball joints, and then this whole thing is on a couple joints, so it can move up and down and around a little bit. I need to get that piece off, or I'm going to have a difficult time transforming this. There we go. The shoulders will move up and down here at this joint, and then there's another joint inside there. Yeah. There's this hinge right here at the shoulder, and then there's a ball joint inside that arm. This little shoulder cap area is attached on with his own little hinge. So it will kind of move out of the way, but it's not really all that great. You've got a hinge right here at the bicep, just a mushroom peg. Single joint for a fair degree of bend at the elbow. Wrists are ball joint, so everything you come to expect from that. Like I mentioned, they are kind of a PVC, but they're nice and stiff, so that's good. There is a ball joint here at the upper waist, and that's it. There's no waist joint here. You do have kind of like a double joint in the hip, so like you can kind of swing the hip down like that, or you can kind of push it up like so, which is good for putting a little bit of, you know, sass in the hips if that's what you want to do. But it's also useful for, you know, like the amount of motion you get when it's up is different than if you swing this hip down and then move it up. So, but in terms of moving up, there's also another, like this POM gray piece in here. It comes out on like another little hinge. This is a transformation hinge. But if you do that a little bit, you've essentially widened her hips even more, and you can bring it like ridiculously up and ridiculously back. Forgot to mention these little parts are on ball joints, so they'll move in and out and around. This little part's on a hinge, actually 2 hinges, and it will move out and around, just so it doesn't get in the way of your poses and whatnot. So there is a swivel here. Like I mentioned, it'll go pretty much as far forward as you really need, depending on how you use those joints down in the hips. Pretty far back as well. It's got a double bend in the knee for a little more than 90 degrees. Again, not amazing, but certainly not bad by any stretch of the imagination. Those functional pistons are so cool. I like that a lot. Ankle goes forward and back, side to side, and then rotates again at the ankle. So there's actually 3 separate hinge joints in here. There's this hinge joint, and then this swivel. You've got this little armor here is on a separate piece, but it is ridiculously stiff. But you can move that down and move that up. I kind of like to move it up so that it covers that ankle joint best. The range of motion isn't such that even when you push this all the way up, it's not going to push that out of the way. So there is a heel joint here for transformation, but that is like a really, really stiff joint on this figure. Stiff enough that at first I was scared to try and move it, because I have had experience where I break things when I'm just like, wow, that's a stiff joint, and then it shatters, and I'm like, whoopsie. But that's not the case with this. You can see here it is just a pin that goes right through there. So, good amount of posability. I mean, with the sword and like the buckler and like the little gun, I mean, the figure's just badass. I like it a whole lot. I forgot to mention one other aspect about this, that this little part here, you can twist that and pull it out, and then this can just attach onto her arm by itself if you want to do that, or maybe even attach down to her leg if you want to do that. Don't know why, but you can. But anyhow, let's get this transformed up. First thing I'm going to do is another little gimmick that you can do, where you can take this gun, you can plug it in. There's these 2 little tabs right inside that shield. You can just wedge this in between those tabs, and now you've got yourself some storage for your gun, which is great. I think that's fun. I like storage for weapons, even if it's not always the most sensible thing. So, to get this figure transformed up, what you want to do is you want to start at the front, the top, and work your way down. So, first thing we're going to do is we're going to yank this all apart. You want to take your head and rotate it around. It does have this kind of like angle, like peak around the head here. I wish that they had flattened that off just a bit. I mean, this looks fine. Of course, it looks fine aesthetically, but if they had flattened it off, it would actually roll a bit better in the car mode, because otherwise that gets in the way. It does transform best if you use these splayed out hands, because otherwise the fists kind of get in the way of where you have to cram them in. Whereas the open hands work out best. And I'm sure that was an intentional design, as you'll see when we get to that part of the transformation. These wheels are on hinges. You just kind of grab them and rotate them down, like so. They are rubber tires, by the way, so when you grab them and rotate them, be careful not to like rip the rubber tire off, because that might damage it. So the head turns around, fits right squarely into this space here. Using this joint system in here, you basically want to see, let's aim this up. Shoop. No, let's aim this down. This is how I want to do it. So basically when you move it into this configuration here, you'll see how there is like this flat angle here. This is the transform section. This is the not transform section. You want to basically move these around so that these flat lines they don't necessarily have to be touching, but they do need to be at least parallel with each other, if not a little closer. You want to take the arms, you want to bend them out like so, and then twist the hands around like this. For this section here, you want to rotate this down on its double hinge here. Rotate this around, that'll expose the seats. Just kind of angle these sections up for now. This is all important for getting everything squared away. With that down, then it exposes these pegs. So there's holes right here, but there's corresponding holes on the other side of the arm. Those corresponding holes will plug into those pegs, helping to lock everything together. Transformation on this is really quite ingenious, but at the same time, like, simplistic and subtle, you know? It's a really good transformation. Here we go, plug that in. Plug that in. Get this to come around and just kind of squeeze that into place. There's a peg and a slot here. So you want to kind of bring that into place, peg it in a bit, bring that slot up onto that tab, and then squeeze it all together real quick. So again, peg, slot. This one doesn't want to fit together just right. There we go. So click that into place. Slot that into place. And there you go. So now the legs you want to bring out, basically you're going to bring them out and around. Watch this little seam right here on that gray plastic piece. As it comes around, you want to rotate them into that configuration right there. Close the feet ever so slightly. Not all the way, you don't want to close them all the way, but you want to close them a bit. And that'll help them fit in here better. And then you're going to fold them up on these hinges that are specific to this mode here. There are these ports here on the calves. Those are going to plug into these pegs right here. And so bring that around, peg that in, rotate the foot so that basically the wheel fits right in between her toe and heel, and then just bring that all the way up. Like so. And let's do that again with the other side. So plug in that peg. That peg doesn't really want to stay super well, unfortunately, which is really kind of a bummer, because other than that, really, this whole thing is super well designed. You can push these hinges in to kind of change how how the back these hips set, because the last step here is you want to take this. There's two tabs right here up at the front of this shield and two slots right here behind the seats. Plug that in. Bring these sections here and plug them into the back. There's a there's like a V-shaped tab here, and then there's like a T-shaped slot, and so they'll kind of go into that slot like so, and like so. Come on. Come on. There we go. And then if you have the legs positioned just right, which is really more of a luck and experience thing than anything that can really be described, this part here will just clip over the back of the hips. And there you have Nicee in her vehicle mode. And the vehicle mode looks great. This definitely, I mean, yes, it is kind of the like legs in the back and car in the front transformation, but I mean, it's not like it looks awful like the Toy World one did. It's not nearly as complex and nightmarish as the Fans Toys one, and I have not had the pleasure of dealing with the Ocular Max Azalea, so I can't really say how it is compared to that one really all that well. You don't have a lot of space back here for these hands, so that's why the open hands work best. As a result, though, she ends up like framing her own rack in alt mode, and so yeah, it's weird. Like I said, somebody was thirsty when they made this figure. But anyhow, it rolls-ish. Like I said, I kind of wish that they had flattened down this crest here on the back of the head. If they had, then there would have been no conflict whatsoever with these tires here. As it is, I think they, I don't know. There's just enough parts of this figure that hang down far enough that, yeah. Oh, actually, that's the best I've had this rolling in a while. Yeah, there's just enough parts that hang low enough that if you get everything arranged just perfectly, maybe you'll get it working right. But odds are you probably won't. So it does look good in car mode. It looks a lot better in robot mode, but you know, that's just how a lot of figures go. But I think it's really good. It's a well-designed figure, even if I think some of the design choices are questionable. The engineering behind it is solid, and so I can definitely get behind that and recommend it on that regard. But yeah, it's a good figure. Looks great, poses great, transforms well. He's just a really nice figure. Thank you to my buddy who bought this for me. You know who you are. You're the best. And thank you to everybody who's watching this video and watched it all the way to the end. You are all so awesome. Everybody, stay awesome. Be good to each other. I will see you in the next video. Have a great one. Bye.